هيكون معنا دلوقتي مستر برونو لاندي اكسبورت اريا مانجر ريب ايطالي. استاذ برونو لاندي مدير قسم التصدير في المنطقه، وشركه ريب هي شركه رائده في مجال انظمه البوابات الالكترونيه في اوروبا والشرق الاوسط. ويلكم.
Buonasera. My name is Bruno Landi. I'm the sales manager for RIB. Before I move on and introduce my company to you, allow me to thank the management of OGTech, and in particular Mr. Magid Murad for offering us this excellent opportunity to presenting, introducing our company to such an important audience here tonight. RIB is an Italian company. The reason for saying that, the reason for pointing this out to you is not because I believe that the Made in Italy has got a recognition of high quality, and without talking about our competition, we are very proud to say that all our operators are conceived, designed, and manufactured in Italy. I could even add that all the major parts that are used for our operators are manufactured in Italy. If any of you has wondered what RIB means, in Italian is Riduttori Ingranaggerie Bresciane, where R stands for reducers, motor reducers, I for gears and pinions, and B is the area where we come from, the province of Brescia. Motor reducers and pinion was what Mr. Giuseppe Bosio set up the company for in 1971. However, soon after, he realized that there was an increasing demand of automatic gates, which was a demand of comfort. It was a sign of the status symbol reached by the Italians in the early 70s. And therefore, the step from motor reducer gearboxes to automatic gates was very, very short. This means that RIB has been manufacturing gates motor for gates, boom barriers for over 48 years. I'm going to show you just a few examples. This is the very first motor that was produced by us. Some of these operators in those days marked a sort of landmark, because now we take everything for granted, but in 1974 the Premier was the very first operator in the world, of course, with an articulated arm. In 1976, this little operator for swing gates, again, was the very first operator with a worm screw. I don't want to get too technical, but it's just a thread inside the motor. I'll show you a few more. And the very last operators launched in the last few years. Nowadays, the company is managed by the two sons of Mr. Bosio, Stefano and Paolo, which for us meant that the family tradition, the RIB tradition of quality and innovation is continuing. Indeed, when we talk about quality has always been the beacon that led the way for RIB. Indeed, we were the very first company in the world of this field of automatic entry system to obtain the ISO 9001 certification in 1995. Recently, we were the first one again to get the management system certification in 2017. Of course, we are also aware of the fact that quality is not achieved with certificates. That would be too simple. In fact, we have implemented a very rigid controls on all the material that is supplied to us by our suppliers. We have introduced very rigid controls on all the production process. And at the end of this production process, each and every motor is tested before it is packed and dispatched. During this final process, when the motor is tested and it is assigned a serial number, each one receives a serial number, and this serial number will later on, if needed, allow you to track back to the suppliers all the parts that are, this motor is made of. We have been so, with this constant work on quality and the excellent experience we had with our operators, our confidence has grown to the point that we have decided to offer to our clients the possibility of extending the warranty up to 10 years for their clients. And again, this kind of work, the experience of our engineers have given us the confidence to venture and manufacture motors that allowed us to create a very special range of motors. We believe to have the largest range of gate operators and boom barriers in the market. Indeed, we have sliding gate operators from 400 kilos to 8,000 kilos. We have swing gate operators from 250 kilos to 12,000 kilos. Not just gate operators, but also boom barriers from 3 to 12 meters. And as I said, quality and innovation. Also, innovation has been a driving factor for the work that RIB has been doing, and in fact, RIB has always been at the forefront with innovation. We were indeed the very first ones in 1998 to introduce motors with an encoder built in. Very basically, an encoder is an optical reader that allows the motor to detect when the gate is having an impact with an obstacle, and therefore stops the gate and reverses the movement. Few years later, we were again the very first ones to implement the same system on boom barriers. We introduced the precedent barriers, which again has got this encoder built in. A few years later, we were the very first in the world to introduce the very first safety edge with radio bridge, certified radio bridge. Safety edges are basically those protection that you have on the moving part of the gate, at the front or at the back. And in this case, when the gate hit an obstacle, the information would be relayed back to the control panel, to the motor, therefore, by radio, and the motor will stop the gate. This is, again, nowadays it's common practice, but in 2008, this was something very new. This radio bridge basically paved the way for the very first complete wireless system for gate automation. So you have a system where all the devices, all the safety devices, command devices installed on your gate are battery operated. In 2013, for the Italian motorway, for a company managing part of the Italian motorway, we designed a barrier that we called Highway with a very special motorized system that repositioned the boom arm after an impact. And last but not least, just to keep up with the time, We have recently launched the RIB gate application. It is an application that will allow you with a small electronic device to basically to manage your gate via Bluetooth or wireless with your smartphone or smartwatch. All these very special motors, these innovative solutions allowed our clients around the world to secure for themselves, secure for their companies, and carry out very remarkable installations. Just to conclude my presentation, which I thought was relatively pretty brief, I'm going to show you some examples. In this case, it is one of our smallest swing gate operators with wheel-driven. It can handle gates up to 2,000 kilos on a very beautifully designed gate in Brunei. The very same operator installed on the presidential gate of the presidential palace of the president of Turkey, Mr. Erdogan. Here is the gate. Forget about the person for a moment. Not just swing gates, but also sliding gate, as I said. This is what we believe the strongest operator in the world, in the field, of course. A Super 8000 fast installed on a 6-meter tall gate at a nuclear power plant in France. The very same operator on some installations in Italy, in Abu Dhabi, and in France. As you will see, the sheer size of these gates, on average of 25, 35 meter gates, and all done with an inverter that controls the speed. Therefore, soft start and deceleration, as I said before, is not just gate operators, but also boom barriers. One of our clients secured the projects on Al Maktoum Bridge in Dubai, and they installed 20 of our industrial barriers. Again, some of our rapid barriers installed at different highways, motorways in India. And just to conclude, again, the biggest of the swing gate operators, the one that can handle gates of 12,000 kilos. This is on a very 6 huge telescopic doors on a airport hangar in Thailand. And the very last one, again, the main entrance of the palace. Forgive me. Got confused. It's all right, but I'll get there. Forgive me. So as I said, the gate of the palace of the chairman of Dubai. So I hope that with this brief presentation I've managed to increase your awareness of gate operators and boom barriers and what goes on behind the production of these operators, and the work of the engineers that there is behind it, the research, and that's it. I think all this is at the moment in this moment at the service of OGTech, because we are very proud of being working with them. Sorry.